I'm Jeff Blyther. I'm a senior sales engineer for Opengear, and my role actually is specifically to the channel. So we are strictly a channel company, and therefore I have to go and talk to all of our resellers and all of our partners and make sure they understand everything there is to know about Opengear. And if they're doing professional services, I want to make sure they know how to configure everything and stage everything for their customers. So that's my role at Opengear. So for those of you who don't know a lot about Opengear or need a refresh, we are here to help our customers and network professionals, to solve their out-of-band management solution. This helps them, obviously, check the health of their network and ensure that everything is up, remediate any issues, do any management or monitoring of their network at any time. And our claim to fame is failing over to cellular. So even if that whole network should go down, heaven forbid, we can still get you in over cellular and still allow you to connect to any device on that network and solve any problem that you may have, or simply monitor and check the health. Opengear is in about 80% of the Fortune 100 companies. So we're pretty sure we're doing the right thing. And we are hyper-focused on out-of-band access. So either that means we're a one-trick pony or we're just experts at this. And so we just keep evolving this concept. Okay, and down here at the bottom, you'll see where we kind of have now hung our hat on this first day, every day, worst day scenario. So we want to be there to help deploy, any new devices that you have in the network. This could even be, we could be your network before there's even a network. Let's say there's no WAN drop in that area. We could be that connection to you to get into that network and help you provision everything on that network. As well as we are there as a management network for you. I think gone are the days of creating a VPN or a VLAN onto your production network and calling that your out-of-band network or your management network. We want to be that whole network for you because we can fail over to cellular. We can always get you access anytime, anywhere. And then of course, we want to be your hero at the end there, the last, the remediate section there. When the whole network goes down, when a particular device goes down, we want to be there to assist you in getting access to that equipment. So I don't know if you remember the days of terminal servers, when you're doing reverse telnet into a box to get access to something. It's come a long way, right? I mean, now we're doing failing over to cellular. We coined this smart out-of-band concept, meaning, all functionality that you want to do could be done over that cellular interface. And we can get you not only to a console interface, but to an IP address. And so that's kind of today's. And now we're dipping into the bleeding edge of all this. So as we talk to customers, as we talk to our partners, we kind of ask that question, what do you expect from us going forward? What is your plan, 5 years from now? How can we help? And they're saying things like, well, we want a true management network. We want to get access to everything. Not only are console ports important anymore, but so is getting to IP addresses, right? To a management port, right? To a GUI. Maybe, I hear this time and time again, I don't want to go to the console port of my firewall anymore because the commands are this long, right? I'd rather just go to the GUI. Can you get me to the GUI? So we can get you, graphical interface connections. We can get you to any IP address for a management port or for like your Meraki management port, or to the console interface. And these are the tools here on the left that enable us to do that. We'll talk more about it, but the Smart Management Fabric, Connected Resource Gateway, and the Lighthouse Service Portal, which actually is used to quickly deploy all your Opengear products into Lighthouse so that you can access them quickly. But we'll go into that a little bit more. So we are 20 years old this year, and it's been a good run. We were founded in 2004, and we just released products along the way, all the way to today, where we're introducing some very new and exciting features. So this is what our solution looks like today. Excuse me, I'm a little froggy. I did about 400,000 demos at Cisco Live the last couple of days, so bear with me. This is our solution today. So at the very top, you see our central management software called Lighthouse, and then the products down below. These are console servers, if you will, from your remembrance back in the day, but they've advanced, quite a long way. So you'll see here on the left, and these ones down here, these are actually serial ports. It looks like a switch, right? But these are actually serial ports. This part right here, with the white stripe, is actually a switch. So that's a layer 2, layer 3, VLANing, trunk tagging, dynamic routing, full-blown managed switch. The idea was, because customers still needed access to IP addressable devices, they were taking their own switch and connecting into the Opengear, and now they had a cellular way in. So we thought, well, let's help, and let's put a switch right into our products. Or you can order them with nothing but serial ports. These edge devices here, these come with either 4 ports or 8 ports. If you want that combination of serial and built-in switch, you can get a 4 and 4, which is what you see right here, or 8 and 8. So 8 serial ports and an 8-port switch. And then this is our little legacy product, the ACM, very good for remote locations as well.
You link the switches together, the switch element of them, and create a sort of a larger out-of-band Ethernet management network, and then have maybe one cellular uplink? Is that possible?
Like to daisy chain the Opengear products together. We have Lighthouse, and so Lighthouse, shows you everything on your network. So we consider that, the capability of you getting access to every single one. So there's so our product management team, which we have here in the room, has really great visions for Lighthouse. This is becoming the linchpin for our entire solution. It's always been that central management, so you can access all the Opengear appliances and everything attached to them. But now it's adding greater and greater functionality. And what they're hoping to do is, create a very secure remote access portal for not only people, but machines to actually be able to route right through Lighthouse and get access to another, network. And then so they have some missions here. They wanted to say, hey, don't manage your network with your network. And we just talked about that, right? Don't create that VLAN on your production network and call that your out-of-band network. Create an actual managed network. And then it should just automatically help you, start up that first day network deployment, of a brand new site. It should be that source of truth to allow you to get connections to the GUI interfaces or any IP address that you want. And it should be able to help you, deploy as well as manage, as well as remediate, any network situation. So that's a pretty good list of things to accomplish, but that just drops us right into this first day, worst day, every day scenario. So that's really where we're hanging our hat these days. So last year, we came to you, if some of you were in the room last year, and we said, here's what we're working on. Here's what we want to do. We want to create a smart management fabric. I think we call it remote management, or routed management fabric at the time, where this would allow you access from one network to another network through the Opengear fabric. And we did a little demo for you. And we even suggested that we had this, this portal where you could quickly provision your Opengear products and get them into your Lighthouse very quickly. And then therefore, have access to them right away and then be able to route through this network. So we even did a little demo. We showed you where you could send an Ansible playbook from one network to another over our fabric, even if it was over cellular. And we showed you a little portal. But really that was kind of in a POC kind of environment. But I wanted to show you today that we've made good on those promises that we showed you last year. So we've created 3 very special new features within our solution. One is called Smart Management Fabric, as I mentioned. So this is the foundation to our whole unified management framework, where we can literally run OSPF. So we're creating routers effectively in our console servers. We can run OSPF and route through Lighthouse to another network, to that Opengear product. It's also doing OSPF to the attached device. And I don't mean attached as in on the Opengear product, although it could be. It could just simply be somewhere on that network that's also supporting OSPF. Now this also works even over cellular. So remember, if one side is cellular and the other side is wired, it doesn't matter, it still works. We can still route you right through. We have an open VPN tunnel between every single Opengear device as well to Lighthouse. But to route this SMF traffic, we've introduced WireGuard. You guys familiar with WireGuard? Most? Yeah, it's kind of new. I'm surprised. I was at Cisco Live and maybe half understood what WireGuard. WireGuard is kind of the latest and greatest VPN connectivity. So you know about OpenVPN, you know about IPsec. Now that I've said WireGuard, you're going to hear it all the time. So go Google it. But it's the latest and greatest, kind of VPN. It more secure than what we're used to knowing about VPN access even. And it kind of helps with that interoperability issues that you might have, Not that you've ever had that with an IPsec connection, but so that's how we'll talk more about it, but that's what we're doing there. CRG is that concept I mentioned where, hey, you want to get to a console port, go to a console port. You want to get to a GUI, go to a GUI. You want to get to a management port, go right to a management port. And we'll show you how that works. And then LSP is our Lighthouse Service Portal. So again, that's a SaaS-based solution. We give to our customers an account to get into LSP. So they buy their assets, and then they log into LSP and they can see all their assets and they can immediately deploy them right into their Lighthouse quickly and then be able to set up their network. So again, LSP is our cloud-based solution. It's used in conjunction with Lighthouse. So as I mentioned, it's literally just the ability to quickly get all your assets into your Lighthouse. We had a solution before, and this is it over here on the left. It was pretty good. So we had a manifest, .og file that tells you how to get to Lighthouse. You put that on a flash drive, plug it into the Opengear, turn it on, it reads that flash drive, and it enrolls itself into Lighthouse. Not bad, not bad. Smart Hands can help you with that, right? You had to set up that OG file, of course, that script, put it on the flash drive, but at least you could tell Smart Hands, hey, plug it in, put the flash drive in there, and it'll find its way to Lighthouse. But obviously that's a little bit onesie-twosie, right? So this with Lighthouse Service Portal, again, you see all your assets. You could buy 5 or you could buy 500. They're all there. You go click, 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 create a bundle that says how to get to Lighthouse. That information is sent down to the Opengear devices, okay, through an X509 certification, so it's very secure, to the Opengear device. And then the Opengear device now has everything it needs to enroll itself into the customer's Lighthouse portal. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? So this is SMF. So SMF again is you see what I've got there. I've got OSPF and WireGuard. So it's enabling, you have to go down and push a template down onto that Opengear node and say, hey, now you are going to be part of this SMF network, okay? So now it's part of the network and now it can actually route traffic. And again, all this is over WireGuard. So I mentioned there's an open VPN tunnel between every single Opengear node and Lighthouse. We now run a WireGuard tunnel through that. So we have double secret security there with 2 VPN connections. And all the WireGuard, all the SMF and OSPF traffic runs through that WireGuard connection. We didn't want to disrupt the communication between the node and Lighthouse, in the open VPN tunnel. So we put another tunnel in there to route all this routing traffic.
So the OSPF traffic is what's being tunneled through WireGuard?
Correct, just that.
How does this handle duplicate IP ranges, like if you were an MSP and had multiple customers with overlapping IP schemes?
For multiple SMF traffic?
Yeah, so like if you're an MSP and you've got two customers both using 1010/8,
Okay.
and you need out-of-band access to both of those ranges from a single Lighthouse portal.
I think the real question is, does the Lighthouse portal support multi-tenancy?
Yeah.
Probably the better question.
So we have role-based multi-tenancy setup. So I think in answer to your question, yeah, you could actually have a number of one customer logging in and only see his Opengear appliances and those ports that he can access, and another customer logging in with their role-based access, RBAC access, and only be able to see their products. So it's a separate
Yeah, you can see
environment.
the devices separately, but the fabric is routing down to defined IP ranges for the out-of-band management side that is plugging directly into the appliances.
Correct.
If you've got two devices, both of which are using the same IP range, how does it handle that overlap? Or does it?
I would assume a serial number of a device would be associated with a specific customer.
It still comes down to an issue of multi-tenancy.
Yeah.
That's really kind of what we're getting at it with.
Daniel Cheklichin is our product manager for Lighthouse.
First thing to clarify, your assumption was correct. Like the appliance that's going to be LSP enabled will, during our manufacturing process, in the certificate and the private key that we're using to secure the communication that we put inside of the TPM chip for the appliance, that's what identifies that specific appliance inside of our Lighthouse Service Portal, so that it, when it powers on, it knows exactly which end user account is associated to, and basically perform the enrollment in there. If I understand correctly, the question, you are referring whether you can have within one account multiple groups or functional teams, or kind of like multi-tenants. If you don't mind running me through that again.
We'll go back to basics.
Sure.
If I've got a single network with a single router, I cannot configure two different VLANs to have the same IP range, because the routing table doesn't work at that point, right?
Correct.
We're doing OSPF for routing in between everything. If I've got two edge devices that have overlapping IP ranges, how does it handle that? So a server here with an out-of-band IP of 192.168.1.2, and a server over here with an out-of-band management IP of 192.168.1.2. Connected to a different device.
Yeah, I do have an idea and a potential answer, but my recommendation would be to get you this clarity once we're done with the session. I don't want to speak something and leave that 5% unclarity. So let's make sure we follow up on that.
Okay, thanks.
If the answer is yes, and we have ways to control through different OSPF areas and all that, but I would prefer to follow up after that, if that works. Okay?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. So again, you see the concept here. So it's, the network operator, or even, some Ansible playbook machine you're running that's actually sending out Ansible playbooks. You can route across that network. What I'm showing you here is 3 separate networks effectively, and I'm routing back and forth. So I can be talking to something on the left all the way over to something on the right, and vice versa, even over cellular. It doesn't matter. It continues to work. We just provide that pipeline. So we got a wide open pipe all the way across your network. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to get to IP addresses? Do you want to push down firmware? Do you want to push down configuration files? We've got that whole fabric open for you now. Connected Resource Gateway, again, is a feature now in Lighthouse that allows you to get directly to an IP address or a graphical interface on the other side of that Opengear product. So we've enabled SMF, so now we can route across the network. Now, if you just wanted to go into Lighthouse and just connect to, the firewall, the GUI, you can do that. If you just want to go to the DRAC over there, you can do that. If you want to go to the management port over there, that's what Connected Resource Gateway provides. So here's what we're going to look at. So we're going to look at a unit that is in our Lighthouse Service Portal. And we're going to see that it has enrolled itself into Lighthouse. And then we can use the template. So part of this enrollment was pushing down the SMF, the Smart Management template, to that unit. So now Smart Management Fabric automatically comes up. And now we have a direct link between two separate networks. So we should be able to go from this unit all the way over to Sandy, Utah, where I have another unit in a lab, and be able to communicate to devices on the other side of that Opengear appliance. And of course, the idea is, completely stitching together, all your infrastructure equipment and all your teams and their tools to get access to anything, anytime in a management network kind of scenario.
So you're discussing this as if you're actually managing stuff in different sites and they're basically routing through Lighthouse almost, even if they're like on separate sides of the country.
Correct.
Okay.
It's 100% right.
All right.
That's the best case scenario. Or very remote locations where you don't have IT personnel there. You got to drive a truck or fly a plane. If you just could get access to it and reboot it or something, maybe it would come back up, right?
Could you configure a kind of an on-prem instance of Lighthouse if you had customers that didn't want to route over maybe a cloud instance of that?
So Lighthouse is an on-prem solution. It's virtual. So it goes on your VM server, your Hyper-V. We do have a version of AWS and a version of Azure as well. So you can put it in your own cloud. And we do that because we're still getting some pushback from InfoSec teams saying, this is our break glass solution. This is our out-of-band. We'd rather you not manage it, thank you. Right? Yeah. We do have a hybrid solution with, LSP. So at least that part is in our SaaS. You just log into it. You see your assets, you enroll them in your Lighthouse, but then Lighthouse is what you own, you secure, you take care of. Yeah.
Quick question with regards to the LSP side of it. Since that is a cloud instance, it is effectively a SaaS service. So are you SOC 2 compliant?
No. We are not, correct, Daniel? Yeah, we are. No, we are not.
Okay. Is there anything on the roadmap to get to SOC 2 compliance? The reason I'm asking is because there are certain customers, and I'm one of them, that works on the federal side of the house.
Yeah.
Ideally, FedRAMP or SOC 2 compliance are minimum requirements for us to be able to leverage any SaaS solution.
That's a great question. It's one we get periodically. Daniel's going to come up. You wanted to address that, Daniel?
Or a similar question last year when we presented exactly.
I was the one that asked
that, which was a great question, and it was coming up. So there's security best practices and standards and processes that we're doing in terms of functionality, and then as you well know, there's a number of processes. Some of them take a lot of time. That takes us or that to a new level, which is the certification aspect. So basically showing that the practices, standards, and, architectural concepts that we're implementing are actually, certified by something. We have done pretty much everything that we could think about in terms of ensuring we're using industry best practices. Like, Jeff said, we're using the certificate and the private key for the MTLS connection that is happening. It's storing the TPM of the box. So there's all those elements. We are at the beginning of the road when it comes to the certification processes.
Okay. And I know, and I know FedRAMP is painful. It's incredibly painful. I understand that. I know talking with some security teams, they're more depending on the application of it. I know some shops might be a little more lenient and allow SOC 2 compliance to fit, if it's for internal use. Whereas if it's more actually stuff that's being deployed to the federal government or to those federal clients, then yeah, it needs to be FedRAMP. So that's kind of why I keep asking the question.
It's a very
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the first questions we have to ask any vendor. If they're coming to us with a SaaS solution, like, cool, first question, are you FedRAMP? No. Okay, are you SOC 2 compliant? No.
correct.
We can't talk. I mean,
In those, no matter
yeah.
what your solution is, you simply, it's not an addressable part of the market.
Right.
No matter what solution we have, we're well aware about that.
Okay.
And again, it's part of the
work-
ramp up.
Yeah,
plan.
yeah, you're ramping up to this,
Correct.
so that's and I get that.
Correct. I mean, it's traditional, go-to-market approach. You're looking after your largest or easily attainable things, and then we know what the solution is. It's also a business decision, right?
Totally.
Because there's costs,
Absolutely.
there's activities, and it's absolutely on the radar, right? It's just like if you want to use the analogy of landing planes, the air traffic controller hasn't yet picked up there, but it's on the radar.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
No, it does. It does. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Okay, so back to Lighthouse Service Portal. This is what they'll see. This is their assets. What you do from here is create an enrollment package, as we call it. So you go up here to enrollment settings and click on enrollment package, and you'll give it some kind of name. And the bundle name could be a bundle that's sitting in Lighthouse right now, a configuration bundle, okay, that you've already done. You've already created a configuration bundle. You put a script template in there to completely configure the Opengear appliance. So think in zero-touch provisioning concepts, right? As soon as it enrolls in Lighthouse, it gets its configuration bundle, and it's completely configured and ready to go. This could include turning on SMF. So Smart Management Fabric is a template, and you just simply push it down to the Opengear appliance. So when it enrolls, all this could be done, and it could immediately be ready for SMF, as well as being fully configured to be exactly what you need it to do. In other words, where's my NTP server? Where's my TACAC server? What are the ports labels going to be? Everything to configure that unit. Then this is the password that is already in Lighthouse. So the way this works is Lighthouse, or the Opengear node, enrolls itself into Lighthouse. Okay, so it goes out the customer's network, right? 443. You can even change that to 8443 or if you wanted to. It enrolls into Lighthouse, knocks on the door, and Lighthouse says, what's the password? And this is the password that is going to be provided by the node to say, hey, I'm a legitimate node, here's my password. Opengear then says, hey, sever this connection with me and come back over OpenVPN. So now you got an OpenVPN tunnel and you're on your way. So that's the password that's already in Lighthouse. And then your Lighthouse IP address, okay? And then this is just port 443. In case you changed it, you want to put a different port in there. That's what that port field is for. And as soon as you hit save, it actually will then drop that information right down to the Opengear node and sever its ties with that node now. Now it's the node's responsibility to now enroll itself into Lighthouse. So again, just quickly deploying these units into Lighthouse, which is something our customers have asked for a number of years. So in the interest of time, I did this already for you. And if you look right here, you see that I have one pending. So it's sitting there waiting for me to approve it. Now, if you saw that here, you can see that I have something called automatic enrollment triggering. If I set that, it's going to enroll itself into Lighthouse, and Lighthouse is going to say, come on in. I trust you. I know who you are. I see your MAC. I see your serial number. You're good. This other feature, if I turn this off, it sits here in pending, and now it requires human intervention to come in and apply and approve it. Some customers want that. They don't want it just to happen. They want to make sure that it is what they think it is, and then they let it in. So it looks something like this. If I go into pending, there's my node right here. Again, this is all over cellular. I do have a connection to its switch port, but I don't have anything connected to its uplink ports. So this is all happening over cellular. and I click on that unit right there, and then I say approve right here. I can unapprove it if I say, no, this is not something that I want coming into my Lighthouse. I'll just say approve selection. And it should go from pending 1 to connected 2.
So just when you're dealing with the from the onboarding, and I may have missed this, is there a way to, so if I'm in the process of doing a major deployment, and let's say I'm going to be deploying 30 sites, and I know that I'm going to be ordering 30 Opengears along with my stack, are we able to get that serial number and device mapping should be something that is available? Can we map that to like serial number and MAC address to kind of like do pre-provisioning so that it actually does go, when they come up, the device comes up online, hits the enrollment and kind of goes through the automatic enrollment, but you have that additional check of like, yeah, this serial number, this MAC address, these things match. Yes, good, go.
The answer is yes, but
Yeah.
I see Daniel wants to address it specifically.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you're kind of thinking,
You're thinking
like
those
some
good
of our
thoughts.
customers
Yeah.
have. So you can actually play with. You see, there's 2 enrollment preference settings.
Right.
One of them is about automatic enrollment triggering, and the other one is about the default enrollment package. That basically gives you a 2x2, so 4 potential combinations
Right.
that you can be in based on your preference or how you want to enroll.
Yep.
You say, let's say you're a large enterprise. Okay, you've got different teams within that enterprise that ordered things differently, right? The moment one of the units leaves our manufacturing unit, okay, that information will be available to you inside of your account. So basically, during the time where your unit is on the truck, arriving at your warehouse, you have the ability to say those 5 serial numbers, send them to that Lighthouse instance on that team, and it can do that. And then on top of that, you have the preference to say, send them there, but also as soon as they power on and call home, let them enroll, or have it such that an admin can actually see that and just click a checkbox there.
Got it.
That thing.
Okay.
All right.
And is sorry,
No, go ahead.
is like preloading, like if you want to start labeling it with like the location, and you assume, you've arranged that, you've looked at the box and you've gone, okay, here's the information. This box is going to my San Jose facility. Let's call it San Jose 1. Can you do that kind of like, is that part of the pre-provisioning possibility there?
And yeah,
You
kind
can
of.
That was it.
certainly do that through an
Yes.
enrollment script.
Okay.
So then when it hits Lighthouse, you know that it's already
Yeah.
belonging to your...
So that you don't have to do any additional configuration after you go through the process of.
That is a
Kind of,
great point.
yeah, it kind of ties in. It ties into this idea of that came up. I would say it probably came up prevalent during the pandemic, which is we need stuff to specific sites that we're shipping directly there, going to a central warehouse where we're, doing our initial rack build, right, and then do a reship. We want to be able to ship directly to a site, drop ship directly to a site from ordering, and then go through whatever remote hands to get it at least powered on and get it connected, and then let it phone home and do its provisioning.
So I think I understand very well the use case, and Jeff was on the right path. I think there has to be a clear, again, distinction between the function that the enrollment portal,
Right.
the ZTP enabler, which is LSP, Lighthouse Service Portal, does. What it does is simply facilitates a more streamlined enrollment process into the Lighthouse management software. Our Lighthouse management software is where, once the node is available to you, you then can do a whole bunch of things to it. But also, the enrollment bundle that Jeff was mentioning, right? You can define a number of enrollment bundles inside of Lighthouse that are going to be included in the enrollment package information that LSP transmits to the node upon call home. and that's going to send your specific serial number, get whatever configuration it needs. And then that's also the place where you can have all sorts of other integration with custom scripts and, put in your Ansible configuration.
So to shorten that, it's that functionality is not part of Lighthouse Service Portal, but once in Lighthouse, your Lighthouse management instance, that's where you would define all that.
Or I guess what we're saying is you would have gone to Lighthouse already and created a configuration file, and you're probably talking about maybe the host name of the device.
Something
like say what right? That would be in your configuration file for that particular node or set of nodes. Yeah. And then as soon as it gets into Lighthouse, it automatically gets that configuration. So the moment you go into Lighthouse, you're going to see, oh, that's San Jose 1 right there.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about this like last year, where it's like, okay, well, there's going to be like there's potentially going to be like 2 reboots because you're going to apply a config. You might do a software update in the process.
Right.
But yeah,
we absolutely can do a firmware check, a software check, or other things.
Which now we're back
to now. We talked about this last year.
And now we're back to SMF. If you did that, now you got SMF running. Now you can push that configuration file over there.
And we're talking about these as separate elements, right? Different activities.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, that's part of a flow that can take
comparing and contrasting from what we saw, because a couple of us were here last year, and what we saw last year compared to what we're seeing now, this is, at least from my point of view, this is definitely much more mature. And seeing how these components are tying together. So I like the progression. I like the progression a lot.
Yeah. That was the target.
Good to hear.
Thank you very much for that feedback.
Yeah, and we're going to learn more.
Yeah, so one question once it's actually in the management portal. So I know you can apply that configuration with that enrollment package, or is the enrollment
separate from the enrollment package?
Yeah. But can you do that in bulk? If you bought 30 of them, is there like CSV import that it's like, here's the name, here's the package that it's getting? And I come from this perspective. I'm a Wi-Fi guy. I like to pre-provision my APs. You plug them in, they come up, they get their config pushed down. I don't ever have to touch them. They just come up and are working and active.
Yeah. So you can have multiple configuration templates set to different nodes based on their relationship with that template.
And then apply those in bulk, or do you have to kind of go into each serial?
You can apply. You can do both. You can apply them individually or in bulk.
Okay.
The goal here is to make, as I mentioned, the LSP or Lighthouse Enrollment Portal is just another method to enroll. The goal of this method is to be as streamlined and as zero or low touch as possible.
This would be my preferred bulk methodology. So that template, that bundle right there, would be go click, 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 to all my assets. Here's all my assets. I would associate that particular bundle. Oh, I thought maybe I wasn't sharing it then.
No, you're sharing it. It's just that we can't see there. We can see there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. If I'm here, I'm going to put that bundle in every single one of these assets in bulk fashion. And now they're all going to enroll in Lighthouse all at the same time with the same bundle configuration file. Okay.
I do that too, though.
And let's just show you kind of what that looks like at this level. So here's an enrollment bundle here. I've got 2. So I've got these 2 units, right? Let me go back up here. I've got one that's sitting in Sandy, Utah, as I mentioned, literally, there it is. And then our little guy right here. So there they are. This one's ready to rock and roll. It's got all its configuration file. This one, we should push down the SMF template so you can at least see what that looks like. So I built the template right here. I went to Smart Management Fabric, and I created this one called I call this the NOC, but SMF NOC. And this is the template for setting up SMF. So you at least get an idea of the knobs that are available. So you've got this redistribute connected, redistribute kernel. Most of these you probably won't need. Masquerading is always a good thing. Then you can either associate it to a specific interface on the Opengear or to a specific network, an OSPF network. And it looks like this. At a network, at a subnet mask, at an OSPF area, and you're good to go. I created one on BR0. So that's our bridge for our switch. So here's my switch. It's bridging, and the bridge interface is BR0. Okay, so now all the switch ports are in one bridge, and that is an interface, and that's where I've created SMF to route from. Okay, that way I can get my laptop to that other network. That was the point of that. See, my laptop is connected directly to the switch ports. Okay. Now, let's push this bundle right to the node. So I'm clicking the up arrow, which will start a push process. I pick the particular node in this case that I want to push this bundle down to. And it's this one right here. And I do a pre-flight. And then it will check things and say, okay, this looks good, and then tell you to go ahead and push it.
What is the pre-flight check? What does it actually look like?
Do you know exactly? Maybe that's an Andy question. Andy, do you know what the pre-flight check is?
So pre-flight check is just a verification step. We do some checking before we push the template down to the node to make sure that everything is going to work when we actually deploy the template to the node. It's just a qualification step.
Okay.
Is it just looking at like the syntax of what's being pushed down? Is it looking at functionality? Like if you push this down, you're going to break your connectivity?
Format of the template maybe, or?
No, it's not as advanced as you just described. It doesn't do a comprehensive assessment to look at everything in the template to know that nothing is going to break. It just makes sure that, if we push it down, that essentially the right things should happen.
The box will accept it.
Yes, exactly. Okay. The box is ready to accept it, that it should complete if you go on to the next step here.
Which I did, and that's what it's telling you over here. Can you see that okay? So it says that it turned on WireGuard, it turned on OSPF, it adjusted the firewall zones to masquerade, and the node is now ready to cooperate with OSPF traffic. Now, maybe we don't believe that. Maybe we want more checks and balances. You can actually go to the node here. And how do I get over there? And hover over this success. And it should tell us. So that is an SMF template as well, and then here's ours. So that's just another notification that yes, in fact. Now here's the tricky part. In theory, we should be able to ping all the way across this thing. So let's start with pinging this box right here. So that's that box. Now let's see if we can ping the box in Sandy, Utah, because that way we'll be on an entirely different network.
So this test, it's originating from your laptop through that Opengear box, and then you're trying to go through
Lighthouse.
Through Lighthouse, and then back
down to Utah. So that one is a 192.168.100 network. And it's on 23. Okay, we're in this node right here. Let's see if it's routing. So it sees that other network. And it's connecting to the other one.
So it was a routing issue on your laptop.
It says a routing issue on my laptop, yeah.
Not on the Opengear or through Lighthouse.
Correct.
That's slick.
And there's an iDRAC back there too. So let's see if we can go past the Opengear to the iDRAC. And we can. So that can dovetail me right into another quick demonstration here. So this is all about getting to an IP address now, or getting to a console port is pretty simple. Getting to an IP address or a GUI is a little bit different. You click on resources here. This is the CRG concept that we've been talking about. And you can add a resource right here. Let's call it iDRAC because that's what it is. And the IP address is 192.168.100.5. And then, of course, what communication protocol you want to use to talk to it. I'll say HTTPS. And by the way, these are configurable ports, so you can make this something else. Yeah, as well as SSH or whatever. So let's do both of those. And we add this resource. Now, if you don't have SMF configured and set up, it'll say that's not even a valid network for you to connect to. Now we're back. And it did configure it for me anyway. So let's just make sure that this is going to work. So we go HTTPS to that iDRAC on that other network. And we're right in. There we go. Now we're in. So, does the concept make sense? We're routing that OSPF traffic across all the way to Utah, going through Lighthouse, back down to another Opengear node. So we have that fabric running, and then out that network right into this Opengear. And again, this side of the equation is over cellular, right? So we got one side of the equation over cellular, the other side is wired, but we can still make that connection. That's the whole concept here of a very solid, united, framework management network, right? Anytime, anywhere, even over cellular, you can still get access to everything that you need to get access to.
Do you have any options for like USB keyboard input or PS2 keyboard input, or you would just have to have a third-party device that you reach out to?
PS2 keyboard?
I wish I didn't have to.
Hey, man.
I was gonna say I laughed at that initially, but I'm like, no, there actually are places that's not uncommon. Carry on.
So you just have to have a third-party device that you can do a web interface to that then has kind of that functionality.
Yeah, sort of like an IP-based KVM
Yeah.
kind of solution. No, we don't have anything like that. Having said that, if you want a RDP to this network, if you want a VNC to this network, right? We just created the pipe for you. So you can do whatever you want.
Yep. It's just not directly available.
It's not connected physically.
Yeah.
Right. Understood.
Yeah, you may be a little bit more ahead of the curve than our customers. I know we're getting rid of the KVM solutions and just using iDRACs when we have to. So
Sure.
Yeah, we did.
Servers.
Yeah, we did that a long time ago, actually, for the same reason. Everything's IP based.
and rack space is starting to get valuable. So that one U for a KVM is.
And the bundle of cables.
And the bundle of cables and the dongles and everything else.
Yeah, worst case in this point, we're doing like laptop USB options. So
This would have been useful for me about 15 years ago.
Exactly. Exactly. But even today, right? I mean.
Oh, yeah,
you see
absolutely
the
today,
value, right?
still, yeah.
Yeah, as I'm showing this to people at Cisco Live, they're just going, well, that's logical. That makes sense. It's almost like, why didn't anybody think of this already?
Exactly.
Thinking about the last like 15, 20 years of out-of-band management and kind of seeing it coalesce down to this, like, why did it take us 20 years to get here?
Yeah, which is kind of why I showed that one slide, reverse telnetting. Remember those days?
I do.
And here we
do,
are.
actually.
Connecting the iDRACs that we never would have dreamed of.
Well, I mean, back in the day, if you were out of band, it was a console. It was, most of them were console servers, and that's.
yeah,
Or
was it.
there wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
And if it-
concept of
But
I can out of band my iDRAC like this.
Right.
yeah, but your out of band was also probably in band.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or over a POTS line. You remember
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, in a previous life, there was a true out of band network. Like it plugged into the inbound in one location
Yeah.
for management during non-outage.
Yeah, more of remote access, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to out of band. Yeah.
Can they be dual PSU as well, these devices?
I'm sorry, say
Can
again?
they be dual PSU for additional resilience?
Dual power.
Dual power. Yes, they are. In fact, this one's dual power. This
Oh, I see it.
Oh, it is.
and our bigger units also have, 2 AC or DC. So if you have a DC deployment.
And that's one of the OM 1200s, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's small, so it fits on a tray or water. We'll give you one ear, so you can cantilever it off of your network, off of your rack if you want. Or we actually have a 19-inch rack extension that you can purchase as well if you want to really bolt it in. And it has a little tray on it, so you can put the power supply on there or something like that. We even have the brick type power supply that you can replace this wall wart with if you wanted to do like a C14 cable. To an actual
for rack.
EDU.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other side obviously screws into the back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Purely curiosity question. Okay, so do you guys consider the port side of that the front? So the port side of those console boxes.
We certainly consider that the business side.
It's definitely the business side.
It doesn't matter. You can put the ears on either side.
Okay.
I will.
I've gotten into debate with people at work over this, so that's because we have Opengear throughout our environment. So that's
Yeah, we as engineers, we think of the port side as the front, right?
The funny thing is that kind of what you're leading into is airflow.
yeah. I mean that's
And
part
it's
of it,
like,
but
and can you reverse it would be the next question.
well, it's not with
can.
with a lot of these units. I mean, like particularly the Opengear, I'm not as concerned about. I'm definitely more concerned with other network equipment. Absolutely. Stopping a lot of heat.
Yeah, I can answer it this way. We had a 96 port unit that had 48 on the front and 48
on the back. Yep.
So everybody was putting patch panels over the 48 on the front and then routing them. So we said, okay, we get the idea. So now we have a 2U box that has 96 all on the front.